You know that feeling, right? When you're just talking, maybe about something simple, and suddenly it goes sideways.
Yeah, completely off the
A
rails.
small disagreement blows up.
Yeah.
Or you just feel totally misunderstood, even when you really try to connect. Happens all the time.
It's that clash, that missed connection. So frustrating.
And you're left thinking, why is it sometimes so, well, hard to just talk to each other?
Right.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Today, we are diving deep into something called relational competency. It's a concept that could really change how we interact.
With anyone about pretty much anything.
Exactly. And our main source here is this amazing workbook, How to Talk with Anyone About Anything, by Harville Hendrix and Helen Lakelly Hunt.
Solid stuff. Very practical.
Our mission, really, is to give you a shortcut, to pull out the core ideas, those aha moments from the workbook.
So you can start connecting better, even when there are big differences.
Yeah, get ready for some insights that might just, reshape how you handle those tricky conversations in your life. More meaning, less friction.
It's interesting how they define relational competency, or RC, right up front. It's the ability to interact successfully by engaging and connecting beyond our differences.
Sounds simple enough on the surface.
It does, but that little phrase, beyond our differences, that's where the real challenge lies. And the potential.
Yeah, the real magic, as you put it earlier. But why are we so drawn to people like us and kind of resistant to difference?
Well, it's easier, isn't it? Common ground feels safe.
The source points that out. We build these groups, right? Shared values, hobbies, even like SpongeBob meme groups.
Totally. We look for reflections of ourselves. It's comfortable.
The bubble gets smaller.
It does. And difference can feel scary. It shakes things up, challenges the status quo.
But here's the twist.
The twist is that difference is actually fundamental. It's how nature works.
Yeah.
There's no real sameness, only similarity.
Like sperm and egg. Two different things creating something new.
Exactly. So difference isn't just unavoidable, it's actually protective. It invites growth, psychological, emotional, spiritual, all of it.
Wow. So we have a choice then. We can clash over difference.
Polarize, yeah. Or we can accept it, use that tension creatively.
Avoid the disagreement and maybe feel isolated, or lean in with curiosity, with empathy.
And often that tension we feel, it's telling us something about us in here, not necessarily just about the other person over there.
That's a big shift, thinking about where the feeling originates.
It really is. And it makes you wonder how many of our interactions are just transactional.
Like, what's in it for me?
Exactly, that individualistic mindset. I win, you lose. Or how can I convince them I'm right?
That egocentric approach.
It triggers anxiety, right? When we don't feel seen or heard or valued, our defenses go up.
And boom, polarization.
Yeah, which leads to the core insight, the big aha moment you mentioned.
This one really landed for me. To be seen, you first have to see.
To be heard, you first have to hear.
To be valued, you first have to value.
It's a total shift in attitude when you encounter someone. Instead of, what can they do for me?
It becomes, what can I learn here? What part of this don't I get yet?
And when people feel genuinely seen and heard by you, their defenses just melt away. They start seeing you differently, as a friend, maybe?
It's that journey, from I to you to we.
And that path creates this, relaxed joyfulness. Connection, a bigger capacity to love, even.
A spiral path towards caring more broadly.
That's the paradigm shift.
Yeah.
So RC isn't just about smoothing things over, it's a deliberate pathway.
To turn those draining interactions into something positive, life-giving.
And it rests on these 4 core practices, pillars they call them, foundational elements.
So if we're building this house of better relationships, where do we start? What's the absolute foundation?
Great question. The authors are super clear. It all starts with a structured dialogue.
They even say it's less a pillar, more the foundation itself. Without it, everything's shaky.
Right. This safe conversations dialogue, or SC dialogue, it's a whole new way of talking.
Deep listening, intense curiosity, deep empathy.
The goal, simple, really, to see, hear, and value each other. Make conversations safe, productive.
Avoid those negative triggers. Get somewhere positive.
It's totally different from what they call the old way of talking, which is basically monologue.
Both talking, nobody listening.
One-way street creates inequality, distance.
Whereas dialogue, this new way, is two-way. Speaker, listener, taking turns.
Equality, connection, that's the aim.
And this SC dialogue has 3 key steps. First up, mirroring.
Just accurately reflecting what you heard. So if I got that right, you said?
Absolutely foundational. Can't skip it.
Then comes validating.
This is seeing the truth in their perspective, finding the logic in it, even if you see it differently.
Doesn't mean you agree, but you get why they feel or think that way.
Exactly. And the third step, empathizing.
This is tuning into their feelings. I imagine you might be feeling X, or sharing how you experience their emotion.
So mirroring is like saying, I hear you.
Validating says, I respect your viewpoint.
And empathy says, I feel you. Or I can imagine feeling that way.
Yeah. It's a progression towards real connection.
Okay, so structure is the base. Then what, once you're hearing and respecting?
Then you build on that with pillar 2. Empathy with everyone.
Which we touched on in the third step of dialogue, but this pillar goes deeper.
Right. It's a capacity we're born with, apparently, but it often gets kind of shut down.
Life experiences, maybe.
Yeah. But the good news is it's learnable. You can rebuild that muscle.
And they talk about 2 types.
Cognitive empathy, that's recognizing, understanding, putting words to their emotions. Like, given what you went through, I imagine you might feel frustrated.
Okay, understanding it intellectually.
And then there's participatory empathy. That's more about feeling with them, being attuned, but crucially, staying separate, not getting lost in their feeling.
Maintaining your own self while connecting. That sounds tricky.
It takes practice. And the key is no judgment, just being a witness.
Not jumping in to fix it or minimize it.
Exactly. Or saying, oh, I know just how you feel. Let me tell you about my time. None of that.
No hijacking the story. Respecting their unique experience.
Which all ties back to that fundamental need we all have.
To be seen, heard, and valued. Empathy delivers that directly.
Okay, so we have structure, we have empathy, but what can sabotage all that?
The big one. Pillar 3. The zero negativity commitment, or ZN.
This is huge. Because safety and negativity, they just can't coexist.
Negativity is like poison in the space between. It creates stress, pushes people apart, often comes from intolerance to difference, right?
Totally. So ZN means consciously eliminating put-downs, name-calling, sarcasm, eye-rolling, blame, shame, criticism, all of it.
Creating a genuinely safe zone for interaction.
But, and this is really important, it doesn't mean you bottle up negative feelings.
Right. That's not healthy either. Leads to resentment or just distance.
No, it's about learning to share those difficult feelings responsibly, intentionally.
How do they suggest doing that?
They talk about using a gentle signal, like a pre-agreed word or sound.
Like ouch or bing or oops.
Yeah, something quick to signal, hey, that comment didn't land well. It allows for a quick reset, a rephrase. Keeps negativity from escalating.
And if the signal isn't enough for closer relationships,
there's a whole reconnecting process. Might involve asking for a do-over, using mirroring, maybe a full SE dialogue about the feelings involved.
Or even a gesture, like a small gift, or agreeing to a specific behavior change.
It's all about repairing quickly and effectively.
Okay, foundation, empathy, clearing out negativity. But then there's this space left. What fills it?
That's pillar 4, the practice of affirmations. Removing the negative isn't enough. You need to actively build the positive.
Fill that space with positive energy.
Exactly. Affirmation is about unconditional acceptance, celebrating the other person, including their differences.
Speaking directly to that need to be seen, heard, valued.
And they offer the 7 A's as a guide. Acknowledge, accept, appreciate, admire, affirm, advocate, adore.
Wow, so that's comprehensive. And ending with, thank you for the gift of you.
Powerful, isn't it? And there are levels. Simple appreciations, quick gestures, eloquent ones, maybe more public, impactful, and deep affirmations.
Reserved for closer relationships. Transformational ones.
Yeah, the kind that can literally create new neural pathways. And they mention random droppings.
I love that term. Paying attention to small things someone mentions they like.
And then surprising them with it later. Unexpected little gifts. Deepens connection.
And this whole affirmation thing has a boomerang effect.
Right. Giving affirmations builds trust. Safety, boosts positive brain chemicals like dopamine, serotonin, lowers cortisol.
Shifts your view from lack to abundance.
And when you give genuinely, unconditionally, you receive the benefits too. It affects the giver.
Then there's positive flooding. Sounds intense.
It is. High energy, enthusiastic, one-way sharing of affirmations, really amplifying positive feelings.
Associating intense emotion with positivity, not just conflict.
Exactly. Accessing and expressing that life energy.
Okay, these pillars are powerful. But how do we, actually do the dialogue part well? What are the rules of the road?
Good point. The workbook lays out clear responsibilities. For the speaker, use I statements. Keep it concise, especially at first, maybe one or two sentences.
Focus on one thing at a time. Share your experience, not just opinions or judgments.
And absolutely no you always, you never. No shame, no blame, no criticism. That's crucial.
And for the listener,
Make eye contact, be fully present, open, curious, zero judgment.
use those sentence stems we talked about. Let me see if I got that.
Exactly. And if you feel overloaded, just gently raise your hand. Hold on, let me mirror that back before you continue.
Containing your own reactivity. That's the hard part sometimes. Not jumping in with your counter-argument.
It really is, focusing purely on understanding them.
The source talks about a listening crisis in our world. We need to build that muscle.
Definitely. Authentic listening isn't about fixing things or prepping your rebuttal.
It's about learning something new, finding that golden nugget in what they're saying.
Witnessing them, separating your stuff from their stuff, discovering the sense in their different perspective.
And listening with more than just your ears.
Oh, yeah. Eyes for body language. Even noticing things like fidgeting. It's a whole body listening.
Now, something else that comes up is how our own past stuff influences things. Our story.
Huge factor. Our past pains, joys, they shape how we see things now, how we react.
Understanding that helps make sense of our own feelings, maybe others' behaviors too. Requires vulnerability, though.
Absolutely. And recognizing that everyone has a story. The first step to understanding theirs, unknowing them.
Letting go of assumptions, admitting you don't know everything about them.
Exactly, because you don't, and you won't.
And the second step? Curiosity.
Which is the opposite of judgment, isn't it? Asking, is there more about that? Opens doors.
It's fascinating how often our biggest frustrations with someone else.
Actually connect back to our own past experiences, even unconsciously.
Which brings us to projection.
Right, unconsciously putting our own unwanted feelings or traits onto someone else.
Signs you might be doing it. Feeling super defensive, maybe? Really reactive?
Yeah.
Making snap judgments.
Those are big clues. If something in someone else really irritates you, it's often worth asking, what's that telling me about me?
A chance for self-discovery, disguised as annoyance.
Precisely. Now, conflict. It's inevitable, right?
Can't avoid it forever. The space between us can either connect or divide.
And RC, relational competency, helps us manage our reactivity in that space, helps us hold it.
They use that analogy.
Right.
The crocodile brain versus the wise owl brain.
Yeah, the croc is the lower brain. Survival mode, fight, flight, freeze, defend.
And SE dialogue helps us pause, get curious.
Engage the wise owl, the higher brain, more thoughtful, less reactive.
And they describe those two reactive styles, turtles and hailstorms.
Yes, turtles are the minimizers. They retreat, pull into their shell, swallow emotions.
And hailstorms, maximizers. Energy explodes outwards. Everything gets bigger, louder.
Ring any bells for you? When you think about people you know, or even yourself.
Oh, definitely. Mutual soft chuckle. You see it everywhere. And opposites attract, right? So you often get turtle-hailstorm pairs.
Very common. So the question for you listening is, in conflict, which one are you more like? Turtle or hailstorm?
Knowing that helps. So how do you deal with each? Taming the hailstorm.
The advice is things like finding ways to channel that energy non-destructively, knitting, singing, exercise maybe. Then when calmer, ask for a dialogue using I statements.
And getting the turtle out.
Gently. Mirroring is key, showing you hear them, honoring their need for space, but then initiating dialogue carefully.
You mentioned singing. The source actually highlights that.
Yeah, as a great stress buster. Good for the brain, builds community, calms the crocodile. Simple but effective tool.
Okay, what about making actual changes, new behaviors?
They introduce smart gifts for change. It's about making commitments that are specific, measurable.
Small, attainable, relevant, time-limited, smart.
Exactly. Actionable steps, not huge, vague promises. Link them to your relational vision, that hopeful future you imagine.
Start small. Forgive slip-ups. Celebrate wins.
Absolutely. And one related point. Resisting gifts, compliments, actual presence.
Why do we do that sometimes? Feel unworthy.
Often stems from childhood stuff, yeah. Messages we internalize, the advice. Practice just saying, thank you.
Let go of assumptions about strings attached. Tell yourself, I deserve this.
It's a practice. Like flexing a muscle. Small shift, big internal impact.
So the power here is that these aren't just for like therapy sessions. These skills apply everywhere.
That's the beauty of it. Work, community groups, school, church, synagogue, mosque, and home, of course.
Everywhere. Fostering connection, collaboration, dialing down tension, honoring difference.
The goal is always the same. Hear, see, value others, so you can be heard, seen, valued too.
They talked about group dialogue or communalogue for groups.
Yeah, it's a structured way for groups to have safe, productive conversations. Community building, brainstorming, heading off conflict.
Key rules sound similar. Zero negativity.
Invited to speak, not forced. No crosstalk, speak to the center. Every you valid. Diversity, yes. Debate, no. Keep it brief.
And mirroring to the center of the group in the third person.
Right. Creates a bit of distance, lowers reactivity. So what I heard the group saying was, the leader guides it neutrally.
Makes sense. And at home, that's often ground zero for conflict, isn't it?
It is. So applying this with couples is huge. Saving marriages, building thriving relationships, modeling for kids.
And with parent-child dynamics, parents modeling the mirroring, validating, empathizing.
Yeah, like that story of the therapist helping the Hispanic family bridge gaps, or the mom whose son asked for the weird talk about the toy.
That's brilliant. And those wow walks in nature mirroring amazement.
Great idea. Building connection through shared positive experience. And the idea of a family protocol.
A family commitment to ZN, clear signals for put-downs, and a process for repair.
Like Harville and Helen have in their own family. Because mistakes will happen.
People will get triggered.
The sign of health is quick repair, not perfection.
What about the workplace? How does this translate?
Huge benefits. Employees feel safer, reach their potential, healthier environment overall, more motivation, innovation, collaboration.
Useful for HR colleague issues. Boss-employee stuff. Customer service.
All of the above. That story about the financial advisor using dialogue for retirement planning, helping couples get on the same page.
Yeah, leveling the playing field.
Yeah.
And the hair salon intervention.
Amazing, right? A public argument transformed using ZN appreciations, requests for change. That's safe conversations at work, live.
Incredible. And schools.
Yeah.
Never too early.
Absolutely not. Teachers modeling dialogue, mirroring students, teaching I messages versus you messages, role-playing conflict.
Affirmations like Student of the Week,
Yeah.
positive flooding, ZN zones in classrooms,
Imagine the impact on school culture.
and in religious communities.
Totally applicable, regardless of the specific tradition. They share stories, board meetings, starting with paired mirroring, deepening connection.
Relationship workshops, using dialogue for forgiveness, maybe around holidays.
Right. And that anecdote from Kenya students using Is There More, making conversations richer, bringing friends to learn, shows the universality.
When you step back and see all these applications, the potential feels enormous.
It really does. The authors see SE dialogue as potentially the next major shift in how humans relate, from monologue to dialogue,
Small changes ripple outwards.
leading towards a critical mass, a cultural shift, a new relational civilization, they call it.
Valuing freedom, equality, diversity, inclusion, all built on better conversation.
Imagine that world, where this way of talking is just the norm, the new human language. It's a profoundly hopeful vision.
Wow. Okay. What a deep dive that was. We've really unpacked relational competency. Those 4 pillars: structured dialogue, empathy, zero negativity, affirmations.
And how they play out everywhere, home, work, community.
Plus understanding our own stuff. Turtles, hailstorms, projection.
Yeah.
And knowing we can change, build new skills.
Neuroplasticity in action.
So think about this for your own life, for your relational journey. What resonated? What did you learn about yourself, maybe?
About others. Where's the growth edge for you right now?
Even applying one small thing.
Yeah, because this isn't a one-and-done thing. These are lifetime skills you keep learning. But it does get easier with practice.
So here's a final thought to chew on. If knowledge is best when it's actually used.
What's one small, doable, sustainable new behavior you could commit to trying this week? Something to stretch into.
To fill that space between with a bit more connection, a bit less conflict.
Remember, that effort isn't just for you. It's a tiny step, maybe, but it's a step towards that bigger vision, that new relational civilization.